I care about democracy continuing to exist. And I do think that it's a major strategic issue that the US doesn't have drone manufacturing capacity. Almost all of the drones globally are produced in China, and virtually no Western companies have the capability of building these types of things at the sorts of scales that would be required in order to move the needle in conflict.
Backed by investors like OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, Blake Resnick, the 25-year-old founder of Seattle-based BRINC, is already on his way to making his quadcopters the top choice for America's cops.
BRINC really has two big differentiators right now. Our drones are made in America, NDA compliant, and our supply chain is primarily based in the US. The second big differentiator, though, is we just build drones for public safety agencies. And public safety has unique needs. They need drones that have integrated two-way audio systems and that have advanced thermal imagers and that have red and blue lights and sirens and mesh networking capabilities and the ability to blast through windows. Like Lemur is the only drone in the world still that has a glass breaker attachment and can actually breach a structure, which is important because it's an indoor drone.
China makes 70% of the world's drones. Resnick wants to change that.
Us moving away from like a Chinese supply chain, China sanctioned BRINC twice, actually. So we're double sanctioned, and I'm also personally sanctioned, so I can't enter that country anymore.
You might be one of the youngest people to be sanctioned by China.
We really should look into that.
Yeah.
I wonder if I am. That would be funny.
BRINC has raised $157 million in funding from major VC firms. The drone startup is now valued at $480 million. And Resnick, who has an estimated 40% share in BRINC, is now worth some $192 million.
The mission that I'm really focused on for BRINC is lowering global emergency response times to less than a minute. Our core strategy is simply to build the best drones ever for our end users, and to be very precise about who those end users are, so we can build them the right things and the correct differentiated products and features.
And while the company's long-term goal may be to be the DJI of the West, right now, the focus is on public safety.
In the entire United States, there are probably 100 police and fire stations that actually have drone recharging pods on their roof right now. So right now, it's all about increasing that number from like 100 to 40,000. So it's a matter of doubling down on what we already do well and also broadening our product portfolio so we have the right drones for every public safety agency that's interested in adopting our technology.
In October 2017, a 17-year-old Resnick was at his childhood home in Las Vegas when a mass shooting broke out just 20 minutes away. A gunman had opened fire on attendees of the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival from the 32nd floor of a nearby hotel, killing 58 and injuring more than 400.
I knew some people that were along the strip during the October 1 shooting, which is the Mandalay Bay shooting, and that's what got me thinking about public safety. I've always loved drones, but I wasn't thinking about building drones for first responders until that happened.
Affected by the tragedy, Resnick bombarded the local Las Vegas Metro Police Department with requests for a meeting, and Lieutenant Will Hudler decided he'd listen.
When I transferred to the SWAT team was, I think, September 29th. And so October 1st was my third day as a SWAT commander. And I realized very quickly that we were underserved in many ways. And many of the capabilities that I assumed we had based on what I was told and read before taking the role, I learned very quickly that we no longer had those capabilities.
They agreed to have lunch with me, which was surprising, positive development.
If there was someone local that was going to add some value to our missions and allow us to send more people home safely at the end of a shift, I owe it to my team and the community to hear them out.
In the beginning of the interaction, we talked about October 1, but then the conversation broadened to the rest of their jobs. That high-risk warrant searches and barricades and hostage rescue missions they have to deal with on a daily basis. And I thought if they could just get eyes and ears in dangerous places, that would be a life-saving capability for them regularly. And I thought I could build that. So went back to my mom's house and engineered the first version of what became the Lemur drone, which was BRINC's first product.
he called. And he's like, I got something I want to show you. And we're watching as this young man is flying a drone under cars and inside our closets. And we're just thinking, wow, because those are all places we have to put human beings to make sure things are clear before we give someone their house back.
They asked me to fly into this dark room because SWAT callouts always happen in the middle of the night, and my night vision system basically didn't work at all. And then this negative feedback kind of culminated in one of their officers grabbing a towel, walking up to my flying aircraft, slapping it out of the sky in front of this huge crowd, and then telling me,
Dude, this is what's going to happen. The moment you fly in a house, that's what's going to happen.
if the drone doesn't have some way to flip itself over, take back off, and continue a mission, it would be totally operationally useless to them. So it's like, man, that is a brutal way to explain that to me, you know?
But Resnick didn't give up. 3 months after his humbling experience with the Vegas team, Resnick called back, and this time with a drone that could actually ride itself. Hudler, impressed, invited Resnick to join the SWAT team for some ride-alongs to continue his research and actually improve the drone.
Blake went on probably 24 call-outs, which is complete forgiveness over permission. And so his presence, his attitude, his work ethic, and his desire to help us find a solution, I think resonated with the team, and they all wanted to see what this kid could do. We squeezed the tactical helmet over that beautiful head of hair and we brought him out, right? So he saw the operations, he saw how they fail, and immediately he reached out to me. He's like, man, you guys are severely underserved with technology. And it was just, it's true, absolutely true.
Together, Resnick and the Vegas SWAT team developed the Lemur, which would become BRINC's flagship drone.
Our aircraft would find someone hiding in a closet, for example, that SWAT didn't know was there. Or I built the first drone in the world to have an integrated two-way audio system. And there were a number of instances where crisis communicators were able to use our drone to make contact with someone where before they were unreachable. And that resulted in some really positive outcomes. And after we accumulated maybe 5 or 6 of those wins, Vegas became our first customer, which to this day I'm incredibly grateful for.
BRINC, short for Blake Resnick Inc., officially incorporated in 2018, and Lieutenant Hudler was so driven by the cause, he joined BRINC's ranks after retiring from the force.
We're putting our money where our mouth is right here, and we're making investments so that you can go home safely. This thing has never been transactional for Blake or any of us.
I visited BRINC's Seattle headquarters in November for a hands-on experience.
You're about to watch a Lemur 2 glass breaking demo. So we have a pane of normal tempered glass over there. We'll go ahead and launch Lemur 2, fly it up to it, turn on the glass breaker, and then shatter it.
Okay,
Another component of the drone is its high-zoom thermal imager, which can be used in a variety of tactical situations.
One story that I just heard that I thought was kind of cool is a customer of ours has integrated our 911 response drone network with a network of microphone arrays that can detect gunshots. So they got a gunshot detection, our drone launched, flew right to the GPS coordinate of that detection, and then our thermal imager on board the drone was able to see hot bullet casings on the ground, sort of verifying that there was, in fact, a number of gunshots in that location, and that turned into a whole homicide investigation.
Before we could fly a cell phone into a structure, we had another piece of equipment, and it was a hardwire phone. And remember, oftentimes when the SWAT team shows up, the person is homicidal. That's why we're there, right? So what SWAT operators were doing is strapping a phone to a carpet dolly, making entry into a structure, sticking their head out the hallway and trying to roll this thing towards the person in crisis. And when I saw that, I'm like, there's just gotta be a better way. And Blake thought the same thing. So Blake's like, no problem. We can drop a phone off. Okay, great, that sounds awesome. So he developed a dropper, right? Still wasn't good enough to purchase, it's gotta be a phone. So then he says, fine, we'll put the cell phone in the drone so that you could purchase it. And that's what ended up working. But now the two-way comms have become sort of the best de-escalation tool on the drone.
sound is very interesting because it's very loud. How does that work in situations where, there's a suspect, you don't want to tip them off that you're there, but is that a preferred way of doing things?
I would say in general, SWAT teams really want suspects to know that they're there. By the time things escalate to the point that a SWAT team is actually on scene with the suspect, patrol has already arrived, patrol has already called out to a suspect with a very loud speaker system. Most likely they've knocked on a door and the suspect has ignored them. That's what triggers a SWAT call out. You have like an armed and dangerous person inside of a structure, resisting arrest and refusing to come out. So when SWAT shows up, they want to do everything they can to incentivize the person to just peacefully with their hands up. And their first step in doing that is using an absurdly loud speaker system, something like an LRAD, to call out to them. And then if that fails, they'll introduce a device like Lemur 2 to find the person and try to establish comms.
The 22,000 square foot facility was filled with the buzz of active machines and numerous tech personnel busy at their stations.
This is one of many electrical components that we design and manufacture in-house. And then behind you right there is a battery spot welding system. So this is how we actually stitch packs together.
I've been seeing a lot of things being put together by hand. So this is one of the instances where you're using kind of robotics to put things together.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, this is one example of automation.
And why is that?
There are just a lot of spot welds to do. So if you check it out, on each one of these battery tabs, we actually have to do 4 individual spot welds. So the process of manually going and hitting each tab 4 times, you can see there are a lot of batteries in here, it would just be like prohibitive from a labor perspective. So this is a nice way to kind of do more with less manpower.
And why aren't other things being automated in the facility? I see a lot of the drones really being put together by hand.
A lot of it is really delicate work, like grabbing tiny wiring harnesses and clicking them into printed circuit board assemblies, or screwing together a number of PCBs into a flight stack or things like that, that actually don't lend themselves that well to automation.
Yeah.
Like if you visited an automotive manufacturing line, you would actually see human beings doing a lot of that same work, even within like an infotainment system. So over time, I do think we'll move more and more in the direction of automation, but it's just not perfect for everything. And a lot of the work that we have to do is best done by people.
And BRINC's charging pods are strategically placed on rooftops, allowing the drones to quickly respond to emergencies within a 2-mile radius.
We can go from about 10 to 90% battery state of charge in 25 minutes with this, which is pretty fast.
How long can it fly for before it needs to charge again?
42 minutes.
42 minutes.
Yep, so you basically had 42 minutes up and then 25 minutes down.
So what about just the timeline of production? How long is it taking you guys to put these together?
Our peak output right now is just about 1 a day.
1 a day. Wow, that's pretty
But
impressive.
yeah, but we actually produce drones at a much higher rate. We can push a drone out of this facility every like 1.5 hours of line time.
Though it's an impressive turnaround time, DJI still does it faster and commands as much as 70% of the market. But Resnick's bet is that American police will soon be using American drones, whether by choice or by necessity. Come December 23rd, DJI's machines will be banned from sale in the US unless an American national security agency gives the company a stamp of approval. It's a ban that BRINC partly helped bring about. Over the last 3 years, Resnick has paid some $660,000 to lobby for controls over the use of Chinese-made drones in the US. Some in Congress fear that DJI's tools could be used to send sensitive information on Americans back to Beijing, though the company has long labeled it unfounded hearsay.
If a DJI ban occurs, I think that will be an extremely powerful tailwind to us and every other drone maker in the free world. And I think that'll cause us to scale production significantly and build out much more robust supply chains that are localized in the US and in allied nations. And I think that is a good thing for democracy.
You talked a little bit about the Chinese government being able to back DJI. Would BRINC ever be open to government funding from the US?
I think we absolutely would be. And I think that would be good policy. But there just aren't any structures in place right now that I'm aware of that would lend themselves to that type of outcome.
Another competitive hurdle is cost. Documents show a single Lemur cost Beverly Hills Police Department $13,000. A comparable DJI drone cost them around $4,000. So far, BRINC's revenues are small. Forbes estimates $5 million last year and an expected $15 million this year. But the startup has attracted more than 700 public safety agency customers, more than 100 of which are now also using BRINC's responder drones. Buyers range from small to medium-sized agencies like Pueblo PD in Colorado to the largest police department in the US, the NYPD.
We frequently try to get states and also the federal government to set aside grant dollars for their public safety agencies to acquire life-saving drone technology. So, that's work that we engage in all the time. Our customers love it because it enables them to acquire technology like ours without dipping into, their budgets. And a lot of policymakers also see, the impact that technology like this can have on their communities, like lowering 911 call response times, clearing out low priority calls for service so their first responders can focus on highly critical emergencies, delivering emergency medical payloads, etc. And, they're excited to support those types of programs.
Federal agencies like Immigration Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE, are also users. Resnick isn't necessarily concerned about BRINC's devices being used to help carry out the Trump administration's mass deportation drive. He claims his tech will help keep immigrants safer during raids by reducing the probability of escalation.
My view on this is drone technology is capable of improving outcomes and saving lives. That's just fundamentally true. We can reduce the probability of officer-involved shootings by giving folks more information about situations that they're about to walk into, before they blast through a door with an assault rifle. We can help tell first responders if, a person is holding a lighter or a gun before they arrive on scene. We can deliver life-saving emergency medical payloads like location devices to folks that are drowning, which is proving to be a great use case for our technology. But these concerns do come up, and it's absolutely critical that we build technology with privacy and liberty and all these other factors in mind.
For Resnick, the desire to build drones all began at an early age with a love for learning how things work.
Even from being pretty young, I was taking apart toasters and microwaves and hair dryers and all that kind of stuff, not quite being able to put those things back together after I disassembled them, which was an ongoing point of tension with my parents. I grew up reading about Kelly Johnson and Skunk Works and the SR-71 development project and all that sort of stuff, and I found it to be wildly inspiring. When I was 10, I couldn't build a fighter jet though, but I could build a drone, and that was kind of the origin of my interest in this broader space. So I would buy off-the-shelf drones and take them apart, and then I would buy kits and build those, and then I started designing my own drones. Tricopters and little racing quads and flying wings and you name it. I was just super into the space.
Growing up with dyslexia, Resnick had a tough time with reading and writing. But he pushed himself with extra classes, got his GED, and attended the University of Las Vegas at only 14 years old. And though he ended up at Northwestern, he immediately sought a way out by applying to the Thiel Fellowship.
Initially, I wanted the Thiel Fellowship because my parents told me if I got it, then they would allow me to just leave school. The first time I applied, I did not get it. I was rejected, which sucked. And it put me into a position where I couldn't quite convince my parents to let me fully drop out.
After 6 months at Northwestern, Resnick convinced his parents to let him take a break from school. But he never went back. In 2020, he finally landed the Thiel Fellowship, a grant that awarded him $100,000 to put towards his drone startup.
$100K was a material amount of money for me at the time. I mean, it still is, but especially then, it was very material. So I wanted that backing. And also I wanted to meet other people that were in a similar position to me, that were young and dropouts and trying to build important technology companies. And the Thiel Fellowship just does an incredible job of collecting those folks.
Over the next several years, Resnick would grow from college dropout to tech CEO.
Blake always had sort of this magnetism, even as a young man, but he's developed into a leader. And not only does he have the CEO title, but he's engaged in all of it. What's been surprising for me is, his ability to invest the time, due diligence, to hire the right folks, but then trust them, delegate and trust. And oftentimes when we see new leaders, and I experienced it on the police side, when you see new leaders, you don't always see that. So yeah, he's done a great job.
Critics have noticed issues with BRINC's connectivity and range capabilities. But like any other young startup in a competitive space, Resnick and his team have acknowledged that improvements can and will be made.
When I first started as a police officer, there wasn't a computer in every car. Now, standard touchscreen computer, digital communications, body cameras, right? All these things are normal now, and drones will be the next part of that evolution.
My vision for BRINC is that we're independent and public and a $50 billion organization that manufactures drones for every critical industry vertical where we can add value. So that's really fundamentally the end state that I'm building towards. And this has all also sort of been a childhood dream for me. Like I've wanted to be a drone company CEO, and it's just been like an incredible learning experience and has caused me to grow a lot. So I'm curious to see where this road continues to lead.